Namaste, everybody. My salutations to all of you. On behalf of Project Self and the United Consciousness, we welcome you all to the second season of Gita Odyssey. So today, we are starting a journey unlocking the human potential. So I welcome my co-author, Avanti Kundalia, also to this program. Together, we will be facilitating these sessions. So let's get started. First of all, on behalf of the three authors, I wanted to express our gratitude to this team, Gita Odyssey members, for their support. This project would not have been successful without us teaching and sharing our thoughts with you all, because the first Gita session we did and also the subsequent discussions, that is exactly what helped us to compile these thoughts together. Even though we put this book together, it is a consolidated effort of all of your wisdom, all of your support, and we are totally grateful to all of you. And this purpose of this session, in fact, we are doing the Gita for the third time. The second chapter of the Gita, we are having a session for the third time. So the goal of this particular course or season is to present the second chapter of the Gita. And we wanted to provide a dynamic discussion to explore the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which can be completely related to our day-to-day life. This is what we wanted to. This is the opening remarks I wanted to make before we get started. I would like to welcome Avanti and share her thoughts as an opening remarks. Any opening remarks she has.
Namaskar. I think Rajesh ji has covered almost everything. All I'd like to reiterate is that really, without your support, not that we are teaching it to you, but without your participation in these discussions, this entire project would not be possible. So thank you so much. And I hope we continue this discussion, because the more we discuss, we might say first time, second time, third time Gita. But every time I look at any verse in the Gita, it talks differently to me. So I hope you all approach it like that with a clean mind. Also, another reason why we are doing this is because we've gone through the whole process of publishing a book in a particular order. So we want to explain it according to the book. So first and foremost, you'll need to have the book. If you haven't got the book already, please get it on Amazon so that you can follow along, because all our slides will be exactly according to the book. So that's one thing. And second thing is that, I think everybody's videos are on, but if they aren't, I think just for respect for the subject, it would be really nice if your videos are on. My teacher, for one, has never taken classes without the video being on and doesn't encourage it. And when I take my personal classes, I don't encourage it. It's not respect for us. It's just respect for the matter being discussed. And these things cannot be actually taught or discussed even online. Actually should be in person. But now, because we're doing it online, please have that amount of respect to just, if you can, if it's possible, turn on your videos and participate fully. That's just my humble request. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Avanti. And first of all, we wanted to share this journey. This book, Unlocking the Human Potential. This was launched on 14th of February, 2025 in the United Consciousness Conclave in the holy city, Ujjain. So a lot of people here attended in person. So that was a grand event. And this journey was so interesting. And we can even publish a small book on that journey. It took multiple iterations. I would just give you a few thoughts, right? So we have taught the Gita 2 times, and I've been studying Gita for almost 30 years. Avanti has been studying, Vikrant is studying, teaching. But when we started compiling the second chapter, it took almost 3 or 4 months to cover the first 10 shlokas. It's not that we rewrote, we again changed the approach. So it took a lot of time. So It was like a tapas, it was like a journey, but it was really fulfilling because I can touch my heart and say that I learned more in that 1 year compared to the last 30 years because organizing your thought and putting that into a paper, that is the best way of learning. I learned that particular lesson. So if you want to learn a subject, even if you don't want to publish a book, write it in your own thinking, and then you will understand the gap. So that was the biggest lesson we learned. And we have been very faithfully following Shankara Bhashya. But if you read the book, you won't feel that it is a Shankara Bhashya. That is what the goal we had in our mind. So we faithfully followed the tradition of Advaita Vedanta because a lot of times what happens, the simplicity versus authenticity. There are so many approaches which are very simple, but they lack authenticity. Here we can confidently say that it is authentic and it is not that complex. That much we can assure. And again, as we both expressed earlier, this is not just a single person's intellect. It's a collective wisdom because each one of you have contributed to that particular process, because sometimes by answering certain questions or sometimes some offline discussions, all these we try to, and some of the life experiences, all that is consolidated into this book. And as a supplementary resource, we also publish the chanting, beautiful chanting done by the professional singer, our own Srikumar ji. I want to take a moment and express my sincere, heartfelt thanks to him because he did that for, like, as a service for us. So that's outstanding. So let's continue. So a quick housekeeping announcement. This class will be Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. as of now, meaning US, it is going to be staying as the same. But India, it is 6 a.m. as of now. When the daylight changes happens, hopefully by that time we'll complete the course. So this is the schedule. Every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. EST, Wednesday 6 a.m. IST. 45 minutes we will discuss the subject. 15 minutes we will keep for Q&A. Recordings will be published by the end of the day, Thursday. And the book is already available in digital format and printed format in Amazon. This QR code you can use. You can purchase that from Amazon. I'll share this with you again. So let's move on to the first topic. Before we get into the topic, we wanted to pick up the thread from where we left. Because in our last season, almost 8 months back, we had 22 classes covering the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, the Gita Dhyanam, and the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which was compiled into the book, First Step into the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll just spend some 10-15 minutes to just quickly recap, and then we will move on to the second chapter because we have to pick up the thread where we left. So the first thing we need to understand is Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita is the problem statement. This problem statement is presented through a particular context. And if you remember, we highlighted this several times. The context can change because you and I do not have a battle, a Kurukshetra battle to fight, but we do have our life battle. So the context can change, but the problem is going to stay the same. So chapter 1, how we presented was focusing more on the problem rather than Arjuna's problem. And we tried to relate that problem to a typical human problem. So the chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita is the problem statement. What is that fundamental human problem that affects all the human beings? Because it is not a problem particular to Rajesh, Avanti, or X or Y or Z. It is that fundamental human. That is what is stated in chapter 1. Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, it's an overview of the entire teaching. And then from chapter 3 to 17, it is an elaboration of every topic presented in chapter 2. So chapter 3 and 3 to 17, each topic discussed in chapter 2 is double-clicked and expanded. And then in chapter 18 is kind of a recap of every teaching. So this is the approach followed by the Bhagavad Gita. So if you look at the modern management presentation, it's exactly like that. Initially, you presented the overview, then you drill through the presentation, and finally you recap. You can see 5,000 years back, this is the approach that was taken by the great master Vedavyasa. So in the previous session, the context of the Bhagavad Gita was presented in the form of a civil war happened in ancient India. So Arjuna, the hero of the Mahabharata battle, was presented facing a challenging situation of a civil war. That is, he has to wage against his own people. His duty was to fight the war, but he could not do it. The situation has taken control over him, and as a result, he could not do, or he could not think properly, he could not feel properly. He got under anxiety, depression, and everything. This is the fundamental problem presented in the Gita. And this battlefield, it is a life lesson. First of all, Bhagavad Gita was presented in a battlefield because conventionally it is believed that the spiritual teachings can be practiced or applicable only in serene settings, like in the Himalayas, or only on the bank of a river, or in a meditative atmosphere. So Vyasa wanted to change that convention. If spirituality is truly powerful, it should be applicable to the most difficult scenario of our life. And the most difficult scenario a human being can face is a civil war, fighting against his own people. So that is why Vyasa cleverly chose this scenario to present this teaching. And the Gita illustrates that true spirituality is not running away from the daily life, but actively engaging with a different mindset. This is one of the key lessons. Because a lot of people think that the spirituality, Swami Chinmayananda used to say that it is for either retired or retarded people. That's not the case. If you want to live your life, you need to know how to live that life. And if you wait for age 80 or 90 to learn that, what is the point? You are taking a journey and you look at the roadmap only at the end of your journey. What is the value? So you need to do that as early as possible. So these are some of the messages that is given in the chapter 1. And also the chapter 1 can be looked at as a battle that is happening inside. Just like there is a battle outside, there is an inner battlefield. And Kurukshetra war is happening in each one of our mind. Arjuna is a reflection of our own self. And Pandavas and Kauravas are the good thoughts and the bad, meaning the not so good thoughts in our mind. And there's a constant battle that is happening. One side of me say that, okay, I should get up early, do the right thing, X, Y, Z. And on the other side, I would always get push and pull from my own mind to take shortcut, to do something unhealthy, to do something unethical. So this battle is constantly happening. And most of the times the Kauravas will win. But the message of the Gita is, if you have that Krishna, the inner guide, that spiritual wisdom aligned with dharma, then you will win that battle. This is the relevance of Bhagavad Gita even now. So these are some of the basic lessons. And if you translate that into a modern day picture, the challenges are there in each one of our life, right? We cannot, even the best life, even the probably, if you ask God to give you the most beautiful life, that life also is going to have challenge. It's impossible to have a life without challenge. And what is going to happen when you perceive that challenge? There is a battle that happens in your mind between your thinking mind and emotional mind. And most of the times, these destructive emotions will take over our mind. And as a result, what is going to happen? I will get into depression, delusion, moha, shoka, etc. And this is the fundamental problem addressed by the Gita. And don't you think that this problem is not relevant now? This is a universal problem. It was there from Arjuna in Arjuna's time. It was there in the life of Adam and Eve. It was there in the life of Buddha and Mara. Every scripture you look, this is exactly the fundamental problem they all try to address. And this is the context of the Gita. So the essence of chapter 1 is that identification of the problem is the first step to find solution. Because identification of the problem that I am vulnerable. When I face a situation, I do not have the emotional intelligence. I do not have the wisdom. I am not able to withstand the pressure of the situation. I am not a master of the situation. Sometimes what happens, the situation will make me a victim. I become a victim of the situation rather than a master. That is the fundamental problem. Awareness of that is step number 1. There is a famous quote from Paramahamsa Yogananda when in his commentary of the Gita, find out what you are because you want to make yourself what you ought to be. This is the purpose of chapter 1. So let me pause here and request Avanti to share on the first chapter.
So much has been shared already. So I've just taken small notes. I'll share that with you. So first of all, I agree that it was a very, very laborious process. And that process, like Rajesh said, taught us the second chapter in a very different way. So when we do this, you have to go with some takeaways. One magical way of you yourselves understanding the Gita properly, as he mentioned, is reflection for sure. Write your own book. Now you'll say, why would I want to write a book? There are already so many books. But a process that absolutely nails it within your head would be, during the class, always have a notebook. Take notes, physically take notes. I think most of us must have studied in India when we were younger. It was almost compulsory because this whole process of writing, it makes a very big difference in this knowledge getting indelibly etched in your consciousness. So take notes. And after that, perhaps all of you lead very, very busy lives, but during the week, just before the class or just after the class, what are your thoughts on the shloka covered? In your words. It doesn't have to be like, you're not masters of the Gita. In your words, you write your thoughts on what you have understood. By the end of the course, when we finish the chapter, you will be amazed. You will actually have a practical Gita book that you have written. So take notes in class, keep a separate notebook to write your thoughts on each shloka. It has transformed so many of my students. It's not even funny. So try and do that. Just even if those lines are 3 lines, this is what I understood from shloka 1, shloka 2, shloka 3. You will have your own book, your own manual. Because we might give very, very lofty ideas. We have received very lofty ideas. Half of them we can't put into practice. So until you write, until you understand, you won't have your manual of life. That was one thing. Second thing, yes, I cannot thank Rajeshji. I mean, without Rajeshji, none of this would be possible because he is so grounded in the Shankara Bhashya and he has made it a point to keep us, the book, grounded there. What we have done is that Shankara Bhashya we have made very modern. So it is imperative that you have the book because when you read that underlying substratum of Shankaracharya, who is the absolute prominent commentator, Bhashyakara of the Gita, when you have that translated into a language that you can understand in front of you, Gita is going to make sense. So that is a very important thing that you have the book with you. Again, I'm not trying to sell the book, but you need to have the book with you. Now, problem statement. Rajeshji talked about chapter number 1. A lot of commentators, a lot of teachers just scrap out this chapter. We spent a lot of time, though it was written in 3 months, we spent a lot of thought and energy putting that book together because it is the author trio's absolute belief that in life, if you do not have a problem statement, and we all have those statements, but if you're not aware of that problem statement, no amount of teaching is going to help your life. So we spend that time, again, you can reread that book to do whatever we could to make you connect in one way or another to Arjuna. because Arjuna's various personalities, he says a few things, in 47 verses, but something will resonate. Yes, this is where I'm struggling within my life. So until you know your struggle, there's no way of finding a solution. So very important again to keep going back to Arjuna. What was his problem? Do I have a similar problem? How can this teaching now, what Krishna will say, affect me or influence me? Very important to keep Arjuna's problem statement in mind throughout. Now, when he gave what happens from chapter 1 to chapter 18, we always say that chapter 2 is the index chapter. I know so many people in the spiritual lobbies who say, we've read chapter 2, we've read chapter 18, bas, we know the whole Gita. Chapter 2 is the overview, but if you do not go from chapter 3 to chapter 17, chapter 2 can be so badly misunderstood. And this has happened in front of me. One student in our class only has ever read chapter 2 and got herself into such horrible problem over one thing. That, you know what, when we do an action, the action is not important. The intent is what receives the karma. So according to her intent, it was a horrible, I can't even mention what she went and did, but she did something and she said her intent was pure. Chapter 2 says intent is all that matters. Until she came to the other chapters and understood where is the intent coming from. Is the intent coming from a completely haywire mind, or is it coming from a stationed buddhi that is completely anchored in the in the intellect, into the atma? Huge difference. So we can say, yes, intent, all of us will think whatever we do, our intent is pure. But to understand where is that intent coming from, we need the entire Gita. So yes, it is the index chapter. Please don't stop at this. Continue your study, whether you do it with us or whether you do it with somebody else. Chapter by chapter, like a Jenga game, it picks, one on top of the other, the knowledge of the Gita. So don't read any one chapter and say, this is it. You have to read all of the Gita. Okay, that's done. Then Krishna, one more reason why you need to go through the Gita. Krishna says once, Krishna says, I will give you Jnana and Vijnana. I will give you both. I will give you the knowledge, I will give you the wisdom. Now, time and again, all spiritual leaders have said, however great the saint can only give you knowledge. Wisdom is something that you have to, make for yourself. You have to understand it yourself. Why does Krishna say that? Because his promise lies in the absolute fluency of the Gita. If you study the Gita on a daily basis, he promises you, we promise you, you will get Jnana and Vijnana just by study, contemplation, and application. So that's another reason why you have to keep up with this. Again, Rajesh mentioned the Upanishads. In the modern day spirituality, everybody, we want to learn this Upanishad, we want to learn that Upanishad. We cannot understand Upanishads if we don't know how to lead our daily life. And that is why, like that cow eating that grass and producing milk that is palatable and digestible by our system, we have got the Gita. So please, by all means, learn all the Upanishads that you want. Please focus on learning the Gita first. When we were at the conference, Vivek ji said something so interesting. He said, you shouldn't even touch the Bhagavad Gita before absolutely understanding the Bhagavatam. Okay. He mentioned that you should do that because you need to have that love for God. We are keeping on saying, right? Atma, God, you are God. You need to identify with that God. So you should learn the Bhagavatam first. But while that is true, I feel for people like us who are in, the world faced with all these problems, you don't need to follow that order. Because if you study the Gita properly, if you understand it properly, and we are trying to infuse the flavor of Bhagavatam, the flavor of devotion into it as much as we can, you will be able to understand Gita and apply Gita in a devotional way. Like Rajesh keeps saying that karma, bhakti, and jnana, all intermingled paths. We'll understand how they are intermingled, and we will also understand how they are separate. That was another thing that I wanted to cover. And when he talked about inner battlefield. So right now you might say, I don't have any external battles. My life is beautiful. I heard something so beautiful from my teacher recently is that, when we keep saying renounce, 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 many people say, okay, I'll renounce not having too much greed in the world. I won't go for too many cars. I won't go for another house. He said, when you start understanding the Bhagavad Gita and you start understanding the inner conflict, The only way to judge your progress is by seeing how many of those kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya have you been able to renounce from within you. If you are feeling less greedy, if you are feeling less angry, if you are feeling less jealous, day by day, you are on the path of renunciation. It has nothing to do with an orange robe or giving up everything. So that's something else that you should keep in mind, and the Bhagavad Gita will teach you that. And the final thing that I would like to say is that, when Rajesh said that life is so complex, Bhishma, when he was lying on the bed of arrows, he said, how bizarre is this? Swayam Narayana, Krishna, is standing with, the Pandavas. He's their best friend, he's their guide, he's their teacher. And look at what horrendous problems they've had to go through and what a horrendous battle they have to fight. So what I want to assure all of us, which I keep assuring myself, the Bhagavad Gita is not going to make all the problems have dissipated. Problems will remain. But if you keenly notice, the more you study, contemplate, apply, you will see how beautifully every problem you will tackle as if you are under anesthesia. What happens when we have anesthesia? The worst operation could be performed, we don't feel a thing. So the worst problems could come in front of us, but if you have the knowledge of the Gita, if you have this Krishna beside you, you will be going through life as though you can't feel that pain. You are addressing that pain, but you will very well be able to do what beautiful word is going to come up in chapter 2, Titiksha. Endure it with forbearance, with a smile. So trust the process. We're going to start chapter 2, which is going to be a whole different story because Bhagavan Uvacha. But with all of this in the background, if you approach the Gita now, you will have a very different and very productive experience. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you. So if you want to revisit chapter 1, you can scan the QR code. You will get the whole 22 lessons video, and you can also listen to chanting. It's already published. We will again share the link in the group. It is created as a playlist, and all the 22 videos are already presented there. So with that, let's go to the opening remarks section of the book. So the first point, how we started the book, is the modern world is fascinating. It presents so many opportunities, so many different choices, and so many options in front of us. One of the challenge all of us has is we don't know what exactly we are seeking. We know that we want complete security, complete happiness. That's we know. But what exactly it is we are going to get? Is that a degree? Or is that a promotion? Or is that wealth? Or is that relationship? We will go after everything. And like if you revisit our life, yes, certainly they have added some value to us. But are we really satisfied? Are we really contented? Or are we really feel so good? This is one of the modern day dilemma. So the question is there a way to find my purpose, to find that peace and happiness? As Bible say, the peace that passes all understanding, right? So that peace, the permanent peace, in spite of what is happening externally, can I remain composed? Or at least can I get closer to that? Because that seems to be a unachievable goal at this point of time. But how do I improve my resilience index? Because sometimes what happens, even a small mosquito bite can make me upset. If the water is too hot, that can make me upset. From that, I can improve. Most of the things would not accept me. So is there any way, practical way? So I don't want to run away from the life. I wanted to actively engage in the life. At the very same time, how can I be more efficient, more happy, less stressful, and do everything? Is there a way? This is a fundamental human quest. And the Gita's answer is a big yes. And this chapter gives the roadmap and the vision for that path. As Avanti said, we may need to study the 18th chapter to get all the details, but this chapter is going to give you, if you want to study one chapter to get the vision, because Krishna first shows this is the different things you are going to achieve, and this is how you are going to achieve. And then he gives the details each chapter. So if you don't study the subsequent chapter, you may not get the whole details. You will only get the roadmap. So you need the roadmap. With that roadmap, you need to make that journey, right? You need to get into the details. So this chapter is going to give the details. So welcome to this journey, and we are going to explore. So whether you are a beginner or you studied Gita, meaning this class will be suitable for you, because we are not expecting you to have an understanding of the Gita. So we will keep that in our mind. So this is what the quest for clarity and purpose, that is what is addressed by Bhagavad Gita. So the next one is, we already talked about that, Avanti talked about that. If you want to study one chapter to get the vision of the Gita, that is chapter 2. Understand, underline the word. It's only the vision. For you to get the whole details, you need to study the subsequent chapter. It provides a bird eye view of the entire Gita teaching and lays the foundation of the journey ahead. So this is known as the index chapter. So the key two teachings in this chapter, first one is, Krishna say that, first thing Krishna addresses in this chapter is, typically you have some goals in your life. What is that goal? You may say that, okay, I want to retire with a like $10 million or $1 billion, or I wanted to achieve XYZ. I want to become the president of the country. All this is good. Nothing wrong as long as they are dharmic. While accepting all these material goals, Krishna says that don't settle with that. Elevate your goal to the highest possibilities of life. What is that highest possibilities? Achieve that peace and happiness and contentment which is not affected by any changing situation. So the first step in chapter 2 is, Krishna is going to tell us, elevate your goal. Don't settle with $1 billion or $1 trillion. Don't settle with the president of the country. Don't settle with whatever material achievement. While that material achievement, make that as secondary goals, not the primary goal or the highest goal. So we always joke, right? So watching movie I'm fascinated in that. I watch many movies. But if I put that as my primary goal, it's going to mess up everything. So I can keep my other goal as the main goal, maybe achieving professional success. Then aligning with that, I can always pursue my secondary goals. That is the best approach. So this is the first teaching. Then the second teaching is, how can I act in the world? Because the action itself is going to take a lot of energy. It is going to make me stressful. It is going to make me worried. It is going to make me anxious. It is going to make me depressed. So how can you act in an emotionally intelligent way? How can you act in the most efficient manner possible to pursue any goal, whether it is material goal or spiritual? So this is the second topic. So first thing is elevating your goal to the highest possibilities of your life. And second one is preparing us on how to work towards that goal. Again, I'm not talking a management presentation. This is Bhagavad Gita. You may sound this, meaning this may sound very similar to the corporate lessons you're hearing, right? First, elevate your goal. Most of the times when you attend the organizational strategy meeting, they say, right, elevate your goal, and this is how you efficiently achieve that goal. This is exactly what the Gita is giving. This is the second chapter. And Krishna's message is, spirituality is not an escape from life, but active engagement, enjoying every bit and piece of your life in a very dharmic way, in a very responsible way. So no need to compromise anything, any happiness or fun, and just change your goal, work towards that. That's it. And fulfill your duties with wisdom, poise, and resilience. This is the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. I can confidently say that no other scripture is as direct as this on this human goal, whether it is Upanishads or any other scriptures of our vast tradition. And this is what makes Gita very unique. Avanti, you want to add anything on this? This is the essence of the opening remarks we had.
So when Rajeshji asked us just now, what do you want in life? Now you've put all these different things. I want to become CEO. I want to get married. I want to have children. I don't want to get married. I never want to have whatever. A fundamental question that you need to ask yourself, the underlying thing that you want is basically peace and happiness. Now, when you talk about happiness, you pitch that happiness in various things that you're chasing in the world. This husband, this wife, this children doing some particular thing, children getting married, whatever. So happiness is connected very much to the world. That worldly, in the world, I want this happiness. And when you talk about peace, it's that inner peace. That at the end of the day, you rest your head on the pillow, maximum 10 minutes, you should be fast asleep. That's another gauge of whether you're actually, progressing or not. Because what keeps us from sleeping? A mind that is going haywire. What has Krishna repeatedly said in chapter 2? Calm the mind, as we will see. So when you look at this, can I have this happiness? Can I have this peace? We've mentioned this in chapter 1 also. Most people you'll see who are very peaceful in this life, they don't really achieve anything. But then the question comes, and why are you born human? Aren't you, if you're Atma, you're Brahman, the same power that creates galaxies, why are you living such a mediocre life? And then those who are out there doing fabulous, fantastic things are all on sorts of antidepressant, insomnia, whatever other tablets, all the highs, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, whatever. If we have it, it doesn't mean we are bad people. I'm just saying it's that stress of pursuing that happiness in the world that is giving us all these problems. So the question you need to ask every day, if you have taken up the Gita, am I going out achieving what I want? And at the end of the day, am I satisfied? Once you start asking this question, you will come to that bottom line. What I want is happiness and peace. And you will come to that understanding. You don't need to chase anything. Why? Because the Gita explains to you very nicely, you are born in this world only because of your desires. Now, whether you want to fulfill those desires, whether you don't want to fulfill those desires are not going to let you rest. It is going to push you. It is going to constantly push you. Do this, do that. Now, even to come and attend this class, there was a desire that propelled you. It's not that you just woke up from your bed and said, okay, let's go and attend some class. Some desire for knowledge. So those desires within you are going to keep pushing you. Now, what the Gita most beautifully does is acknowledges, yes, you're here because of those desires. Can you throw those desires in the dustbin? You cannot. It gives you means and methods to do 3 things with these desires. Number 1, lessen those desires. Just now we are with 1 million desires. Number 1 is lessen. Number 2 is purify those desires. How selfish our desires are right now. Everything is I, me, myself. If it's not I, me, myself, maximum my child, my wife, my life. That's it. It's hard to go. Concentric circles have to increase around us. Like, my teacher keeps saying, let not your love be only, let not your household be the center of the periphery of your love. Let it just be the center. From that love, we should be able to go. So 1 is lessen, 2nd is purify, and 3rd is channel the desires. Now I'll give you 2 striking examples that came in my class that 2 students were able to implement very strong desires, how karma yoga will be able to reduce it. One of them was obsessed, health freak. You all must have heard this word. health freak, absolute health freak, to the point of, just ignoring everything. I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy. It became such a selfish thing. Why? To look good, to be whatever, have all those 6 packs or 8 packs. I don't understand those things, but whatever it is. Just studying the Gita, he said, you know what? I can't have this health freak just for me. He went and put his name down for organ doning. So he has become an organ donor. Very simple thing. He has become an organ donor. Now, why is he being healthy? He shifted his attention from I, me, myself, I want to look good. Now, when he says that when I look after my health, it's like when I die, if I can give 5, 6 people life with different organs, hasn't he elevated? Rajesh was talking about elevating the goal, right? It is a desire he can't get over. He can't be unhealthy, but he's elevated it. A second person, real estate agent, a big man, very humbled that he would come to our class to study. But anyways, very big man. I am a real estate agent. मेरी यही ख्वाहिश है, बिल्डिंग बनाओ, बिल्डिंग बनाओ, बिल्डिंग बनाओ. Mad after building buildings. Okay. When he understood a few chapters of the Gita, what he started doing, that desire to build buildings, he didn't stop building real estate, condos, houses, whatever else. For every 3 properties that he built one orphanage or a hospital, free, without any interest. And maximum, the highest goal that he put for himself, he did it anonymously. If we build a building, we will make sure it's immortalized in gold, our name, for lifetimes, for people to see this, such a man existed and such a man has built this building, this temple, this. Can you believe it? And the only reason why he did that was passing. I mentioned this quote, when your right hand gives, your left hand should not know. And that stuck with him so badly that he actually started. Was it hard? Of course it was hard. Such a lot of money went in building this building and his name is also not there. Nobody knows who's given it. But this is how slowly and steadily we elevate our goals. And I promise you, you commit to the Bhagavad Gita, it will help you do this. What is efforted in us right now becomes seamless. And from the passion with which I speak, you can understand that it has been absolutely the truth of my life. That if you commit, there's this beautiful quote says, you take one step towards God sincerely, God will rush with 1,000 steps towards you. And that is the truth. You take one step towards the Gita, and the Gita will help you 1,000 ways to try and put this into practice. But again, how? Come for the classes throughout the week, study, take notes in the classes, study. And by the end of this class, we all should collect all your notes on this book, whatever you all have things, so we can help putting together another book with class discussions, with your reflections. That's how we're going to grow in the Gita. That's how we're going to make Gita alive. Enough of it being a book on our shelves. Let us become Gita. That's what I feel such a project would help. There are many teachers, many commentators, many classes. We want this class to make us into Bhagavad Gita, walking, talking Bhagavad Gitas. That's all.
Okay. So this diagram shows what exactly we were talking. Ordinarily, we will be working towards our happiness and securities. But what Gita is keeping that as it is, it creates some higher goals. One is creating a controlled mind. That is step number 1. And then identifying your true identity. So elevating the goal is one thing. And second thing is it gives you the steps to reach all these goals. It's not just the other way. So this diagram, it's exactly cut and paste from the book. So the book has this diagram and the detailed explanation. So this is what it is. So please keep that in mind. This is a corporate slogan, but you can see that exactly in the theme of the Gita. Elevate your goals. You don't need to compromise your righteous desires. If you want to be healthy, that is completely good. If you want to be wealthy, that is completely good. If you want to watch movies, that is completely good. As long as it is not against dharma, all the desires are good. You can pursue that. But along with that, you need to raise your goal. And Gita is going to give you the steps to achieve each one of these things. So that is why we put the title for this book as Unlocking Human Potential. That's the reason, because the name was selected only at the end. Once we compiled the book, we felt, okay, this is the right name for this particular book, second chapter. So that's pretty much we wanted to cover today. So this book offers is a study guide, because we already talked about this. So I don't want to talk a lot about that. So this is a study guide. This is not like a dummies book. Please, if you think that this is very like it has 560 pages, so it's not a dummies book. It is a study manual, because suppose you want to study Gita seriously, you can take up this book and read it. It's not giving you a very high level superficial overview. No, we are jumping through every shloka. We are entering into that. And with every shloka, we have given you the gist at the beginning called at a glance. And at the end, we give you a reflective prompt. So you can always reflect upon the shloka using that prompt also. So that's something that we added based on obviously feedback from some of you. So that's how we structured the book. And the last thought, I think we already talked about that. Read the book if possible prior to the class. Reflects on the slokas and the relevance in your life. During the session, attend the session with an open mind and a curious mind. Clarify the doubts during the Q&A. And after that, I think Avanti and I didn't talk about this, but we both wrote the same thing. And she didn't even see the slides. So we both thought exactly the same thing. Create your own notes and understand the meaning of the shloka, connection between the shloka. My personal request is don't believe blindly anything. You know, the final advice given by Krishna to Arjuna, after teaching, if the last shloka, almost last shloka, he tells, I gave you everything I know. Now you think and take if it is correct. You know, that much freedom. So don't take anything blindly. But on the other way, don't be very pessimistic also. Some people just read to find fault. So you have to take that middle ground. My suggestion is, I had a personal interaction with Swami Dayananda Saraswati, and he was giving me a very nice advice, how you should approach. And he was saying that don't believe me because of the length of my beard. In fact, he was saying that longer the beard, greater the suspicion. That should be the attitude. That's fine. But on the other hand, some people just, if they don't understand on the first attempt, they say that Gita is wrong. So he was saying, first suspect your understanding, because this is time-tested material. So try to learn, ask the teacher. In 5th chapter, Krishna say, Tatvithi pradibadena pariprashnena. You have to ask questions. So don't be shy in asking questions. You can ask anything, but ask with an open mind. That's all. So this freedom is completely given in the tradition of Gita. And in fact, the 3rd chapter opens with Arjuna says, you successfully confused me. That much is the freedom. So please understand and make use of it. That's it. And then go deeper. My suggestion is, if all of what meaning, you can form a discussion group separately, discuss every verses we cover, and that is going to enhance the understanding. If any volunteers are there, totally up to you. You can form a discussion group and discuss. And these type of discussions are going to enhance your knowledge, reinforce the learning, and it is going to, and also it creates a beautiful community and a network. Because I'll tell you, the relationship you form within that satsang group probably is the most best relationship. It's not like the party friendship people make. So that's it. That's what we wanted to cover. And if you want to get the book, it's available in Amazon. You can do that and listen to the chanting. It is already there in Spotify. You can listen to that. And what we summarized is this is the index chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And the 2 main vision of the chapter is elevate your goals and teach you how to work. Because I cannot find this teaching anywhere else in the world. How to work in a spiritual book. And this is where people use Gita for management, etc. And that is a life-changing teaching. Then understand that it is not Arjuna's journey. It is our journey from confusion to clarity, weakness to mastery of action, and leading up to the steady wisdom. That is the goal. So next steps, please read, reflect, discuss, and apply.